Greetings folks, and I hope you're avoiding the ISO cubes wherever you are in collecting land. And welcome back to the channel for another episode of Grail or Fail. For newcomers to the channel, Grail or Fail is where we revisit a 1/6 scale action figure from yesteryear that was deemed a classic or attained cult status, and find out if it still holds up today. So going in front of the Council of Five today is Art Figure's take on Karl Urban as Judge Dredd from the 2012 Pete Travers directed and Alex Garland penned cult classic Dredd. Usual format folks, we will get up close and personal with the scourge of peach trees, then it's judgment time and we'll be going out with the usual showcase at the end. But before we dive in, I'd like to send a Mega City One size shout out to everyone who supported the channel. And please drop a like and hype on this video as it helps other people find Go Figure. And if you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button and bell notification icon so you're sure not to miss any of the 1/6 scale reviews, news, previews, showcases, tours, and all that other stuff that we've got coming up on the channel. But enough of my slow-mo meandering. Let's dive in and find out if Judge Dredd is a grail or a fail. Okay folks, let's get up close and personal with Mega City One's finds. Well, before we do that actually, a couple of things worth mentioning. Two or three things actually. Firstly, this figure was an unlicensed figure, came out in 2014, was re-released a year or two later I think by Art Figures, who did a blue version for some reason only known to them. I'm assuming they were wanting to emulate the original comic book, of which I have been a huge fan since I was old enough to pick a comic book up, basically. But yeah, so it was known as the Special Armored Heavy Cop, with it being unlicensed, but quite clearly Judge Dredd from the movie Dredd. Also worth mentioning at this point as well, number one, this isn't the stand that this figure comes with. This was a custom made stand, which I picked up with the figure from the original owner. The figure itself, as with a lot of Art Figures of that time, didn't have a stand with it, unfortunately. But yeah, so that explains this stand, and a very, very good job. I believe it's 3D printed, but it's just a really nice job and works very, very well with the figure. But if you are picking this figure up new or pre-owned, you will find that you don't get a stand with it. And as I mentioned as well, some modifications have taken place to this figure. This is not how it comes out of the box, which can muddy the waters a little bit for a Grail or Fail, but we will try and work around that a little bit. We will point out those details that have been changed. But yeah, let's get up close and personal with the figure itself. Well, first of all, I've got to say the proportions are absolutely on point for me. Love the movie. It's one of the greatest movies never to get a sequel, in my opinion. Unfortunately, the studio mistimed its release completely, and unfortunately didn't do that well in the cinemas simply because people didn't know it was there. But if you haven't seen it, I would recommend seeking it out, even if you're not a Judge Dredd fan. If you're a fan of science fiction, you're a fan of actioners, you most certainly will have a good time. So yeah, seek it out if you've not seen it. But that's enough of the movie. Let's have a look at the figures. So proportions on point, screen accuracy is there in spades. Well, it is now. It wasn't when this initially came out of the box. But we'll take a quick look over the outfit itself. The boots, really, really nicely done, screen accurate. This weathering, and I'm going to say this straight away, a lot of the weathering you're seeing here wasn't on the original figure. It was underweathered when it came out of the box, quite obviously underweathered. So the weathering you see here is to give it that screen accurate look. And pretty much everything on here, I mean, apart from the undersuit that you can see there, all the sections that you're seeing from the knee pads themselves are plastic, but the boots, these flaps on the knee pads, the padding on the arms, everything that is material and visible on top of this suit is made out of pleather, unfortunately. I've seen a couple up for sale where they are pretty much disintegrated. This one, for some odd reason, has decided to hold together. I do treat it regularly in those obvious pleather places with Aerospace 303, and I think that's really helped prolong the lifespan of this particular figure. But yeah, finding one that hasn't turned to dust is quite a feat in itself. But yeah, everything has been weathered here. So yeah, expect a fresher look if you do find one that's still intact. Those chest plates, screen accurate, really, really nicely done. You've got 6 scale zips going on there. That weathering has been added, as has the Dredd symbol on the left part of the chest there. This outfit, this sort of oversuit, is made with a cotton material, which is nicely done. 6 scale zip there, and that stood up pretty well. Some of the pleather on the arms here has started to deteriorate, particularly under this joint here where it's attached to this canvas underbody suit. But overall, it stood the test of time pretty well considering. We'll get him side on so you can see some of the detailing here. And we'll talk accessories in a second as well. You've got the padding on the elbows there, screen accurate. The huge eagle on the shoulder, which needed some weathering as well. That was too shiny out of the box. Yeah, just a few coats of paint there and that, and some dry brushing have picked out the details there. You can see these boots at the sides, the strapping's really nicely done. The stitch work in that pleather is very good. It's just unfortunate that it is the material that it is. And we're starting to see all the accessories on the belt as well here. Now you've got pouches and knives, you've got the medikit, you've got grenades, you've got the comlink, you've got medical packs and mines, and extra pouches for clips as well. These are pretty much all the accessories he comes with. Obviously you've got the weapon, the lawgiver. Now that's very, very nicely done, sculpted plastic, little bit of weathering's been added there, but the detailing is nice, the screen accuracy is there, the proportions are on point. As I mentioned, a lot of pleather going on here, and the hands that you're seeing on this figure aren't the original hands. These have been lifted from another figure. We've got a variety of different hands here that have been lifted from other characters with black leather looks. The original, and we'll take a look at these because it's worth mentioning. These are pretty appalling. These are the original gloves that that this figure comes with, and you can probably see here that the pleather is already starting to deteriorate quite badly. I'll get these into the light so you can see that. These haven't stood the test of time quite so well, and unfortunately not the strongest feature of this figure on its original release. What Art Figures gave us was a sculpted or a semi-sculpted hand inside this pleather glove. Now there is give in this glove, so these fingers can be flexed, but that's just going to damage the pleather. So they only give you one set of hands, and they're in these sort of oversized gloves. So when you do put them on the figure, you get this sort of ugly space between the ends of the figure's posable fingers and the actual gloves themselves. He won't hold the gun, he won't hold any of the accessories. It looks comical, and they're made of pleather, so they fall apart. So yeah, the hands really could have done better. It really could. But the other hand itself does have the comlink computer, the wrist computer going on there, or at least an attempt at it. What it is, it's just a hole cut in the pleather there. They've inserted a picture and then topped it with some clear plastic so you can see underneath. So it simulates that wrist computer. Yes, that's a nice attempt there from Art Figures, but overall these gloves are a fail for me. The fingers don't fit properly, they're made of pleather, they're disintegrating. But the other accessories, you know, the sculpted plastic med pack, that's pretty good. This, I believe it's a mine, correct me in the comment section if I'm getting it wrong, but yeah, there's a spare mine going on here. I pretty much kitted out that belt with the stuff that I want to see on there. I don't want to overdo it. Obviously stressing the pleather is a priority on this figure, so I'm avoiding that at all costs. But yeah, that's the accessories, but back to the figure itself. So pretty good, I have to say, considering the huge elephant in the room of the pleather. But the whole thing, I think, works that much better because of this weathering. As I say, if you do locate this figure out in the wild, you will be seeing a much cleaner look. Love the belt there. That gold eagle on the belt really pops against the black. And moving up to the all-important head sculpt, and this is probably where the most important modification has taken place with this. Out of the box, unfortunately, the helmet on this figure rode too high. The helmet itself, I think, is really well done. Once again, there's been a little bit of work there to highlight these scratches. A little bit of weathering's been added. and those scratches have been accentuated. But overall, the colouring is really nice with that deep red on the front. You've got the shiny black visor with the crisscross red section, and then the gold sort of echoing the Dredd symbol on the helmet there. So overall, the helmet itself is the right shape. It looks really good. Obviously needed a little bit of weathering, but the main issue with this helmet straight out of the box was the way it rode on the head. Now, you're probably not seeing too much of it here because a modification has been made, but when straight out of the box, he was showing way too much nose. Now, those who've seen the film, aficionados of Dredd, will know that you can't really see Karl Urban's nose underneath there. It's pretty much completely covered up, but straight out of the box you will see a lot of nose on this figure, and it's a simple solution. You just have to remove that helmet. It takes a little bit of work getting that helmet off, but it does have a soft foam lining underneath there, so you shouldn't damage the head sculpt. And then it's a case of dremeling or sanding down that bridge of the nose until it's flat enough so that the helmet will actually drop lower on the head. And that's what's been done here, and I think it gives it a far more screen accurate look without that nose too visible there. But the mouth plate itself, I think Art Figures have done a stunning job on this mouth plate. As regulars to the channel will know, I'm constantly banging on about how good a figure is if you can recognize it from a lower mouth plate, you know, with Batman figures and so on. But I think Art Figures have done a cracking job here, just from that sort of downturned Dredd grimace that is synonymous with him. You can tell this is Karl Urban with that frown that he had on the face there. There's some really nice 5 o'clock shadow going on all the way down to the chin, and if the camera is picking this out, on the neck there, there's actually a scar. There's some battle damage on that face as well. But the skin tones and textures, considering the age of this figure, I think are really, really good. So as far as actual sculpt goes, I think Art Figures did a cracking job here. Just let down a little bit by misreading the ride height of that helmet. So there you have it, folks. That is Judge Dredd, aka Karl Urban from the movie Dredd, the best movie never to get a sequel, in my opinion. So what are your thoughts on this piece? But before you hit that keyboard, we need to go in for a final verdict on this guy. So, is Art Figures' take on Judge Dredd a grail or a fail? I think we need to go to the jury for a final verdict. So it's verdict time for Dredd. Is he a grail or a fail? And I just couldn't resist bringing out the special figures Lawmaster to go alongside this thing. You'll be seeing more of the Lawmaster in the showcase at the end, but I just think these two go together like two things that go together very, very well. But also as well, probably before we go in for a final verdict, I didn't mention this actually in the previous section. Probably just worth taking a look behind Judge Dredd and taking a look at his bag. Now, you get a much better idea here of what this thing is like straight out of the box, because the back hasn't been weathered anywhere near as much. Obviously don't see it as much, unless of course he's on the Lawmaster. There is some weathering on there. This isn't exactly how it comes, but this is pretty much give or take how this figure comes out of the box. And as you can see, I think it just is a little bit too shiny, a little bit too clean for my taste. But overall, although it is pleather, as I mentioned before, the stitch work in there is very good. The holster for the lawgiver is really nicely done, very, very secure, and it fits in there really well. That plating on the back is done in a hard, well, I say a hard plastic. It does have some give to it, but it's screen accurate, as is that webbing that runs around the side there. And overall, the back section, apart from being slightly too clean, I think works really, really well. And once again, the pleather on those pants has held up pretty well considering. So that's around the back of Dredd, but yeah, it's verdict time for the man himself. So let's start with the downsides. Downsides to this figure, straight away, obviously you've got heaps of pleather. There's pleather everywhere. It's going to fall apart. Unless it's treated, you could be in for a really, really hard time. So Yeah, we are talking an old figure here, though. So this was pretty much before the days of alternate materials or the use of leather. Accessories. The accessories are very, very good. I think the Lawgiver is excellent. All the stuff that goes on the utility belt, very, very good. Biggest letdown with the accessories is always going to be these horrendous gloves and these posable hands that just, the whole thing is just a bit shambolic and doesn't work very well at all. But apart from that, accessories are on point. Screen accuracy is there. The articulation on this figure, although, you know, 90% of the time you're going to be too scared to articulate it in case all the pleather turns to dust, the articulation is very, very good on this figure. So yeah, overall, articulation, screen accuracy, detailing, accessories, all excellent, give or take a few bits and pieces. Main issues here for me were the weathering and that head needed attention out of the box, but once it's done, I think you've got something really, really special here. But it's verdict time, folks. Is it a Grail or is it a fail? This is a really, really difficult one because we've had, and correct me in the comment section if I'm wrong here, but I don't think we've ever had any official Dredd figures in 1/6 scale. Now, I would love to see these figures redone. I would love to see a company like InArt or Hot Toys or Caustic Plastic grab this IP and have a go at it. But because it's now a distant memory, and maybe because the film wasn't so popular and it never got a sequel, that will probably never happen. So this is probably the best we're ever going to get. And I think you can turn this figure into a Grail, but I'm going to say straight out of the box, no, it's not a Grail. It could be deemed a Grail because it's the best 1/6 scale Dredd we're ever going to get, probably. However, straight out of the box, no, it's not a Grail, unfortunately. With work, you can make it a personal Grail. It's not a... It would have been a fail for me straight out of the box. Too many issues there, unfortunately. However, with some work, as I say, you can make a Grail. So, unfortunately, it's going to be a borderline fail for Judge Dredd. Although, on a good day, he can slip into that character of Frail, which is something we invented on the channel for those figures that are between a Grail or a fail. But unfortunately, not for me, not a Grail this one. Very, very close, but no cigar. Straight out of the box, but with the work, definitely a Grail. So there you have it, folks. That is Art Figure's take on Dredd. What are your thoughts on this particular figure? Do you have it in your collection? Do you have a different version of it? Have you encountered the same problems I have? What are your thoughts on the movie? What are your thoughts on Art Figures? Nothing is off menu. So please drop a comment in the comment section below. I would be fascinated to hear your take on this figure or on the movie or anything at all for that matter. And that about wraps it up for this episode of Grail or Fail, folks. What have we got coming up on the channel? Well, we've got a raft more new figure reviews. We've got figures from Hot Toys, InArt, Susu Toys, Caustic Plastic, X06, Iconic Studios, the list goes on. We've got more episodes of Grail or Fail, more tours, more showcases, more previews. So as I mentioned at the top there, be sure to hit that subscribe button and bell notification icon so you're not missing any of the good stuff. And I suppose all that remains for me to say is from myself, from Karl Urban as Dredd, a massive thank you for watching, as always, and until next time on the channel, take care of yourselves, happy collecting, and it's over to the showcase.